No desire to quit. Although life with cigarettes was horrible, she had no desire to quit. Then it occurred to her that maybe her God wanted her to stop. I started smoking when I was 15 years old and smoked for over 17 years. Before I had ever started, I can remember trying to talk my boyfriend into quitting because I didn't like the smell of his cigarettes. Later, he and I began what was known around my high school as hobo smoking. He would inhale the smoke into his mouth and then blow into mine, then I would inhale it. I smoked this way for several months before I ever lit one of my very own. I believe I was addicted before I ever bought my first pack. I can remember getting really angry with my boyfriend when he wouldn't give me any smoke. I must have become a nuisance to him because he finally told me I was grown up enough to buy my own. So I did. I smoked about a pack a day for the first few years. I used cigarettes for two main purposes. First, to hide my emotions, and secondly, to allow me some control over my compulsive overeating. Cigarettes very quickly became my best friend. I could feel better instantly just by lighting up. What seemed like a miracle to me at the time, I had finally found a way to stop my eating binges. I loved smoking. I thought it was the answer to all of my problems and was really working for me. I smoked with a passion for the next 17 years. In many ways, smoking controlled my life. I chose my friends by how accepting they were of my addiction. If they didn't allow me smoking in their home, I would not visit them. If they expressed concern, I convinced myself that if they really cared about me, they would get off my case. Other smokers were my favorite people. Cigarettes dictated where I could go and what I could do. Movies were a problem. 2 hours without a cigarette, and church? Well, the shame of being seen smoking in the parking lot combined with hours without my drug was intolerable. I found that swimming became difficult, but running, aerobics, and climbing stairs were just plain impossible. Going on long trips with people who did not smoke became shameful for me, too. Nobody goes to the bathroom that many times. They had to know I was just stopping for smoke breaks. After a while, smoking was banned in my office. I began lying there, too, hiding in the bathroom or the stairwell to smoke. My lunch breaks became back-to-back cigarettes, usually 10 to 12 in that hour alone. My favorite place to be was alone in my car, where I could smoke as much as I wanted. I went through several smoking cessation programs. However, I do not recall any desire to quit smoking. The sole purpose was to show other people I was trying to quit so they would get off my back. Sometimes I did quit for a few days or weeks. Once I woke up at 2 in the morning. It was pouring rain and cold outside. I was out of cigarettes. I became so angry at the idea of going to the corner store, which was not very safe in broad daylight, that I quit for a few months. I'm not even sure what excuse I used to start again. Probably my weight. I always managed to blame any weight gain on quitting smoking, but I rarely admitted that I did not lose weight when I started again. The last attempt I made at quitting was fueled by pride. My husband at the time said to me, "I don't think you can quit." I figured I'd show him. I went for a few days short of a year that time without smoking. During the entire time, I had a pack hidden in the house on top of one of the bookshelves. I thought about smoking every single day. I really planned for the day I had let enough time go by to prove my point just so I could smoke again. As the years went by, I smoked more and more. By the time I quit this last time, I was smoking between 3 and 5 packs per day, determined entirely by how many hours I was awake. I have repeatedly lied about my smoking to doctors, family, friends, and most of all to myself. I hid my smoking as much as I could. I have stolen cigarettes and smoked other people's butts. I had to have them with me at all the time, no less than 2 packs. I also had to have 2 packs of cough drops if I intended to speak to anyone. I was taking 5 different medications every day just so I could breathe. But I had no desire to quit smoking. Life was like a death sentence. About this time, I had become involved with a group of people who loved me enough to begin spoon-feeding me some basic spiritual principles. I was so starved for what they had that I took all I could get. One thing they taught me that I managed to do consistently was to pray for God to show me what He wanted me to do with my life. So I got up every morning and I prayed, "God, please show me in great big billboard-sized letters what you want me to do. If you will help me, I will try my best to do it." Little did I know that prayer was the beginning of a long road toward willingness to stop smoking. I noticed things began to look different to me. I'd always been able to ignore the complaints of my friends and family for the most part. Now every word they said about my smoking haunted me. I began to see that they weren't trying to harass me, they were genuinely concerned. I had been throwing my butts out the window of my car for many years as part of my effort to hide my smoking. I had been driving the same car for the last 3 or 4 years and had never had them fly into the back seat, but they started to. I first noticed several burned holes in the carpet and upholstery. Then I started seeing them go back there, and I would try to bat them back outside. God knows what was going on in front of me while I was flailing away at airborne cigarette butts. I kept this image in my mind of looking in my rearview mirror and seeing a wall of flames. Then there were the billboards. In the past, I had seen all these tall, thin, elegant women with bright white teeth who I was sure was the image of everything I was so desperate to be. Now I began to see, warning, the Surgeon General has determined that smoking. I also realized that I didn't even look like those women. My teeth had awful brown stains that all the smoker's tooth polish in the world wouldn't erase. I was at least 20 pounds overweight. It is impossible to look elegant with a hacking cough. Finally, after all this, one morning, just after I said my prayer, the thought came to me that perhaps God wanted me to quit smoking. It scared me. I tried to talk myself out of believing it and God out of wanting it for several weeks. That didn't work. Fortunately, I didn't really believe God could help me with this, mainly because I had proved to myself that I couldn't do it. My idea of God at that time was that he was as limited and powerless as I was. So I figured, I will try this. I will let God help me with it. I will put forth my best effort, and before long, God will give up. Then I can smoke again. So with a huge amount of hope that God would give up on me and just a tiny part of willingness to quit, I put them down. I am truly amazed at how much work God did in me those first few months. None of my behavior was what I had grown accustomed to seeing myself do. I made a list for those around me of things they could do to support me. I put down real honest statements such as, do not tell me I can't have a cigarette because that will give me a reason to prove you wrong by smoking one. And, when I tell you I'm going to die, please remind me that nobody has ever died from nicotine withdrawal. I bought a little kit at the drugstore with a tape, some vitamin pills, and a lot of instructions about how to quit. For once, I actually did everything it said. I did want to die. I found myself crying on the way home from work every day. My feelings, both physical and emotional, came back to me with a vengeance. This was an intensely stressful period in my life. I changed jobs, moved across town, got married, became a stepmother to a teenager, and left the protective cocoon of the group who had given me so much love and spiritual guidance. All of this, combined with the grief I was experiencing at the loss of my drug, put me in an emotional overload. I knew I needed more help, and I began to ask God specifically to show me how to live without cigarettes. I found myself on the phone calling the crisis hotline to find a support group. They gave me a phone number. The next Wednesday night, I sat in my very first 12-step meeting. The man who led the meeting seemed to tell my story, even down to the detail of taking nearly a bottle of ibuprofen every day just to ease some of the pain. There was a huge relief in finally being understood. I have never been one to take orders. I have always wanted everything to go according to my plans and ideas, or I would buck it every inch of the way. But God was strong for me again where I was weak. I found myself following instructions to the letter with no thought of how it should be done some other way. They said, keep coming back, so I came every week. They said, take phone numbers and call us. I did. Just in that bare beginning, I noticed hope was coming back into my life. This program was beginning to work. Having uncovered my eating disorder, I gained between 70 and 80 pounds the first 3 months I was off cigarettes. I found myself weeping on the floorboard of my closet with a handful of options: suicide, pick a fight with my husband, eat all the food in the kitchen, or smoke. I started small and tried to pick a fight with my husband. He would not fight back, so that didn't work. Then the thought of one more option came, and I remembered to call somebody. He suggested I try Overeaters Anonymous. God was still providing all the help I needed. After a few weeks, I got a sponsor. Again, much to my amazement, I did as directed. He went one by one through the steps with me, just as he had worked them in his own life. I worked my steps hard. Step 1 seemed like a piece of cake as I came face to face with the others. At each one I realized I was incapable of what seemed to be necessary. Each time, God was there to help me again. Sometimes I did not notice the help I was getting. Sometimes I felt completely abandoned. But then someone from the meetings would call me, or I would notice that I had gone all day without even a thought of smoking, or some other thing would show me that I was not alone. Today I have my life back. Nicotine does not control me any longer. The promises of this program have truly been taking place in my life. I no longer have to carry cigarettes or cough drops, and I can talk a blue streak without coughing. I have been taken off all the medications I was taking. Within 2 months, I no longer needed them. I now have the clarity to realize that I was indeed killing myself, and the gratitude that came with release from the need to continue dying at my own hands. I noticed the beauty and wonder of this marvelous planet we live on again, as I must have done as a child. Just today I noticed some red flowers by the side of the road, and the beauty of them gave me an enormous sense of peace. I allow myself to spend as much time examining the endless changing colors of the sky as I used to spend hiding in bathrooms smoking. A lot of the worry and stress has simply left me. I am learning a lot about how to deal with my own fears and resentments. I no longer rage at people, and I don't need to let others walk all over me. I am also learning what it takes to take care of myself. Simple things like flossing my teeth, eating a healthy diet, exercise, and enough rest are becoming stable parts of my life that I enjoy. I have allowed both God and other people to love me through this program, and somehow in that process they have given me the ability to love back. Not only that, but I find that the more I give away, the more I have. I am truly learning to love myself and to know that I am a unique and worthwhile creation of God. The gratitude I feel is impossible to express in words. God and the people in this program have given me my life just as surely as if they had pushed me from in front of a speeding car. At the time of this writing, I have had the gift of not using nicotine for just a little over 3 years. I still have many challenges in my life. It is by no means perfect. I often feel pain, fear, or anger, but I also feel joy, gratitude, and peace like I have never known before. Today, I can breathe and I am alive. I don't have to risk losing either of those by smoking. What a gift. What a beautiful gift.